Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory? Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory?
Where do you want to go next? If you'd like to see Liyue's tourist spots, I have a few references. Every journey has its final day. Don't rush.
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory?
Sometime later, as a member of the Marechaussee Hunters, you receive a commission. Following the address provided on the message, you take a boat and arrive at this strange city. As you inhale, you can taste the slightly salty air of the docks as you begin to survey your surroundings. There aren't many people in the vicinity, but you do take note of a few others who, like you, seem to be sizing up this place. Your eyes meet, and you realize these people are fellow Marechaussee hunters, likely led to this location after receiving the same commission as you.
You're all Marechaussee hunters too, right? Allow me to introduce myself. The name's Navia, monster hunter by trade and helpful neighborhood businesswoman on the side. What say you to traveling together? We can help each other out on the road.
Okay, count me in. My name is Linny. I've been wandering since I was little and picked up a few less than legal tricks along the way. I was adopted by a marechaussee hunter and later chose to follow in his footsteps.
Is this where you introduce your character to everyone? It sounds like they've done this dozens of times.
My name is Farina, and, I grew up in a noble family. I always had a strong interest in performance and the arts. Even though I'm a marechaussee hunter, what I really want is to be a performing artiste. Hey, that's really cool. You can do it, Farina. That's exactly how it's done.
Paimon is Paimon, a good friend and companion to this marechaussee hunter right here.
I've been studying medicine ever since I was a child. I want to do my part to eradicate these monsters and use what I've learned to heal others.
Oh, welcome. When we face the monsters, I'll make sure to charge in front to give everyone some cover. You can take care of the healing at the back.
You open your envelopes at the same time. The message reads, "To the honorable and trustworthy marechaussee hunters, our kingdom is currently facing a grave crisis. The lands outside the capital have been overtaken by monsters, and our people are being led astray by forces of wickedness. We beseech you.
Huh. The layout of this city looks super familiar.
The scriptwriter must have used a real-world city as a reference when coming up with the map.
As experienced hunters, the layout of the city reminds you of places once traveled. You recall the sight of tree-lined streets and the gentle tranquility of days gone by. Yet, as you regard the city in front of you, it appears to be little more than an empty shell. Its hollow gates are open to you, beckoning you to come forth and bring salvation back to the town.
I carefully read every line of the letter and turn my attention to the signatures at the bottom. Who issued this commission to us?
You see a long string of unfamiliar names. It would seem that many of the residents of the city issued this commission together.
In that case, why don't we take a walk around the city and see if we can learn anything from the local residents?
Oh, good idea. We might be able to get some leads on the monsters and bad guys we're after.
You look up and see a tavern nearby. It appears to be open.
Why don't we go check out that tavern? If the novels I've read are anything to go by, taverns are usually full of information.
As you approach the tavern, you find a plainly dressed woman standing nearby. She appears to be rather troubled about something.
Greetings, friend. Lovely weather we're having today, don't you think?
Oh, hello. I suppose you're right. The weather today is quite lovely. If only those monsters out there would stop causing trouble.
It seems like every character included in the script has a certain amount of useful information to offer. If we keep...
Oh, come now, don't be sad. Life is all about
I don't think that's the kind of...
Nothing turns a frown upside down like good food. How about some macarons?
You didn't even take cooking as one of your skill proficiencies.
That's not necessary, miss. Excuse me for saying this, but...
So you're someone who barely smiles and doesn't like sweets. You're really starting to remind me of this one friend of mine. Hey! Did she just... me?
Clorinde must have broke character for a second.
This isn't getting us anywhere. Traveler, maybe you can think of something.
The results of insight checks aren't disclosed to the players, so I'll be the one consulting the fatometer. You recall all the lessons you've learned in your time and begin to carefully observe the woman's manner. You notice that when she's quiet, she has an empty look in her eyes, as if her thoughts have drifted to a place far, far away. And when she speaks, she often subconsciously so you noticed. A horde of monsters suddenly appeared near the capital recently, so all the guards were dispatched to fight them.
Do you remember when those monsters appeared?
I'm not completely sure. All I know is that
Do you know where he was sent?
It all happened so fast. When we said our goodbyes, he couldn't even tell me where they were sending him.
You have our thanks, friend. We'll find and defeat those monsters as soon as possible. We sincerely hope your husband will be able to return to your side soon.
Don't worry. We'll find him. Just try to remain optimistic and wait for good news. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. But we do get to choose the little things, like what we eat and how we respond to the things life throws our way. I hope that one day, you too will recognize the power of
You bid farewell to the woman and continue your journey further into the city. As you venture further into the city, the streets appear largely empty. An elderly woman walks past. You see her shake her head as she puts away her wrinkled wallet. A nearby merchant folds his arms and gives you a disdainful look. You get the impression that he's someone who has long gotten used to the sight before him.
Although he doesn't seem very friendly, merchants are usually a good source of information, right?
Pardon me, sir. I'd like to ask a question if I may.
That depends. How much are you willing to pay?
How about this much?
What do you take me for? Some lowly beggar? You can't even buy half.
Surely an onion can't be that expensive.
What do you know? War is nearly upon us. Everything costs several times what it did before. If you're not gonna buy anything, then...
Whoa, what a nasty guy. Maybe we shouldn't even bother talking to him.
But he still might have information we need. Traveler, can you think of something?
Okay, while everyone is talking, I secretly use my magic props to summon a bottle of wine without the merchant noticing. We meant no offense, sir. Here, allow me to offer you this bottle of vintage wine, made only from the finest grapes. I'll just leave it here. Please, enjoy it at your leisure. I should mention that this wine is the perfect accompaniment to a meal. I'd suggest...
All right.
Do you have any information on the monsters or the
Crisis. If you ask me, there's a crisis everywhere you look. Those monsters are camped outside the city, and they've been destroying all our trade routes. We have limited reserves within the city, so if this continues, we're all gonna be in big trouble.
Wait, you're saying no one has put a plan in place to distribute supplies or...
We could all starve and those nobles in the palace wouldn't even break a sweat. Who knows? Maybe they've been in cahoots with the monsters all along.
That is concerning. Thank you, sir. We won't take up any more of your time now.
Hey, why did you leave in such a hurry?
Well, you see, that bottle of wine was just a cardboard.
Should we try to go somewhere with more people?
Oh, how about the city square? Follow me.
Before you lies the city's central square. You see a man with a slightly anxious look on his face, pacing back and forth, his head hanging low. He doesn't seem to notice your approach. Still immersed in his own thoughts, he shakes his head and lets out a long sigh.
This guy seems promising enough. Maybe I can get some information out of him.
Hello, sir. Is there...
Wait. Oh, dear goodness! You're...
You recognize us? Ah, are you...
Yes, yes! Oh, I didn't expect you to actually come. Oh, what great news!
What happened here?
Alas, we once lived comfortable, carefree lives. This city used to be free of monsters. The first Marachose hunter, Casiodor. However, monsters have once again surrounded the city. Perhaps the seal that kept them at bay has lost its power. Or perhaps an evil sorcerer has...
Are there not...
It's not a question of numbers. The guards simply have no idea how... Most people my age have never even seen one of the monsters, much less been trained to fight against them. What's worse, when I was a child, though, my grandfather would tell me stories about how the Marachose hunters... To be perfectly honest, I was starting to think all those stories were just tall tales. But now that I've seen you in person, I finally know that it was true!
Well, you can rest easy, friend. The righteous and formidable Marachose hunters are on the case.
The man is touched by your determination and resolve. His eyes begin to well.
Still, if we are going to hunt the monsters, we need to know where to find them.
All I know is that the area outside the city is... Oh, although, if you leave the capital through the main gate and follow the road, you should run into a group... I see. We'll go... All right. Be careful. Oh, and one last thing. The monsters outside the city are just part of the problem. They're actively working with the monsters, and have corrupted the court ministers with malicious magic. They're the reason why even one of our kindest ministers is turned into a boorish and unreasonable figure, interested in nothing but enacting laws that exploit the people.
Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I feel bad for him. Maybe we should try to cheer him up?
Hey, not everything can be solved with food.
I appreciate your kindness, but for now, it's more important to focus on brave hunters. I leave the
If I understood correctly, there are currently 2 problems in the kingdom that need solving, right?
Exactly. We need to defeat the monsters outside the city and take down the evil sorcerer.
But which problem should we tackle first?
Well, this seems like a good moment for a break. Take some time and discuss what you want to do.
I really didn't expect the people in the city to keep us at arm's length like that. I totally thought the...
Well, Clorinde said the script took cues from the real history of Fontaine, right? Maybe the real-life Morrow...
I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of history, but there are definitely some similarities.
Sure. As long as it doesn't spoil anything in the script. You brought up bits and pieces of the Hunter's history.
Paimon wants to know, too! The Hunters were super powerful, right? Were they all from a special line of supernatural beings or...
No. All Marachose hunters were ordinary mortal fighters. The only thing that set them apart...
Huh? So you mean anyone could become...
In theory, yes. All you would need to do is survive the rigorous training and master the swordsmanship techniques required to fight the monsters. Still, most people dropped out at the early stages, and others called it quits the minute they saw a monster in person. To become a hunter, you must be strong in both body and mind.
What kind of monsters did the Hunters fight exactly? Oh, and the evil sorcerer the script mentions. Did they
The land of Fontaine once played host to an ancient dynasty known as Remuria. After that dynasty fell, monsters began to appear, intent on obstructing humans from establishing a new... One of the ancient sorcerers of Remuria used his power to assemble a formidable army of golems. He sought to use that force to establish...
Now, wait a second. Don't tell me that guy was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer in the script. We still haven't found any in-game information on him yet.
Well, I wasn't planning on going into anything you might be able to find out in the game. But if you want me to talk about something else, then... How about Casiodor, the Golden Hunter? Or Egeria, the ex...
Wait, but those people are all from a super long time ago. Where did you learn all this?
From my master.
Huh. By master, you mean Miss Petronia?
Is someone you know?
Absolutely. Miss Petronia and my father were good friends. Back in the day, she would often bring Clorinde over to play, but...
Let's not get off topic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Responding to Egeria's call, a number of warriors followed Casiodor into battle against the monsters. This group of warriors, under Casiodor's lead... Yet, as Fontaine entered an era of peace, their work gradually became obsolete. The Marachose Phantom, originally an association made up of hunters, eventually came to be predominantly comprised of Melusines.
Ah, I see. That explains why most of the people in the script have forgotten the hunters.
Is that really a bad thing, though? It can get tough always being the one shouldering everyone's expectations.
Depends on who you ask, I suppose. If the name of the organization no longer commands respect, investigative work is bound to suffer.
Speaking of investigations, which problem should we tackle first?
I vote monsters. That's the main duty of the hunters, right?
Well said, Miss Farina. Plus, if the sorcerers really are the masterminds behind this whole thing, defeating the monsters could give us some clues on their...
What about you, partner? What do you think? It's decided that...
All right. After some discussion, you decide to turn around and head out of the city.
Let's take a look around, like that guy said.
You there! Outsiders, halt!
Who's there?
An armored man approaches you. He has a tall, muscular build and a determined expression in his eyes. Just one look, and you can tell he's fought in his fair share of battles. Although he's trying his best to conceal his current state, his uneven gait and the sweat dripping down his forehead make it obvious that he's been wounded and is in serious pain. I'm the captain of the guard. I saw you sneaking around the city earlier, so I'll only ask this once. State your purpose, or it's off to the dungeons for the lot of you!
Wow, it's been a while since someone's been this suspicious of us.
I said talk, not whisper between your...
Have you ever heard of the Marchese Hunters?
Marchese Hunters? Ha! That fairy tale, you mean? What, you expect me to believe you're one of them?
Sir, we were indeed in the city earlier, but our purpose was only to gather information. Your guards are still fighting the monsters as we speak. They could be seriously wounded and in grave need of...
The man regards you with doubt and concern. After a period of inner struggle, he lets out a long sigh and informs you of the locations where the monsters have appeared. Those monsters aren't easy to deal with. But if you insist on going, I won't stop you either. I just hope all the guards will be able to come back to their families alive. I wish you the best of luck.
Based on what the captain said, the monster should be right up ahead. Let's go. Hopefully we're not too late.
As you approach the battlefield, you see numerous people lying by the side of the road. They appear to be dressed like guards. Their faces are filled with desperation and terror. Some are screaming and cursing in vain, as if still trying to banish the monstrosities they saw from their minds. A few of the wounded look up at you in shock and disbelief. "Quick, leave this place. Turn around and don't look back," they yell.
This is the place he mentioned, right?
You see broken iron swords scattered all around you, and downed trees riddled with terrifying claw marks. All the signs point to one thing. A truly devastating battle just took place here.
Be on your guard, everyone. The monsters might still be around.
Before you can finish your sentence, you hear rustling sounds from the surrounding bushes. The monsters have emerged. They close in on you without fear. You get the impression that, in their bloodthirsty eyes, you're just another meal.
A little help here! This thing wants to eat
Your battle round begins.
Take this!
Shower me with praise!
And voila!
A proper send-down!
From Vestina with love.
Hiya! Haha! Cha!
The next battle round begins now.
Warfare, I guess! Haha! Hey there! Yoo-hoo!
Lightning flash!
The monsters let out a terrifying roar of anger and resentment before dissipating into thin air.
Ugh. Thank goodness it's over.
We're lucky the Marashose Hunter class came with all those preset skill points. Otherwise, we would have been in some real trouble.
I never knew the Fatometer even determines the amount of damage you inflict. If you get unlucky, isn't it just game over right then and there?
That's part of the fun. The uncertainty of fate is what gives these games their appeal.
Just as you begin to celebrate your victory, a suspicious lump on the ground catches your attention.
A suspicious lump. Wait, could it be the thing?
I walk up to it, crouch down, and begin to carefully examine it. I've still got my right glove on, so it should be.
As you investigate the mound, you discover that the exposed portion appears to be made of wood. It was previously obscured by the large form of the monsters. With the monsters gone, the small protrusion now awaits your discovery.
Whoa, it's a treasure chest!
With everyone's help, you successfully excavate the wood even without opening it. You can tell from the mora and jewels scattered around the chest that it must contain quite the fortune.
Makes sense. We worked hard for this. Let's open it. We can share what's inside.
I can understand your excitement, Paimon, but think about it. Doesn't it seem like there...
Yeah. Think about all the people suffering in the capital. Or all those guards who got hurt.
Wait, is that how it works? Paimon thought since we were the ones to dig it up, we could just take it for ourselves.
Well, let's put it this way. Any decision you make during a role-playing game can...
But would the people really believe us? It's hard enough for us to prove we're Marashose hunters. What if they think we procured the treasure illegally?
That's definitely something we should consider. Maybe we can come up with an
Well, if donating it could cause that much trouble, why don't we use it to buy some gear and fill up on good food? Then we'll be ready to...
Looks like you're facing a difficult choice once again. Well, it's getting late.
Wow! Where did the time go?
I'm not sure if it's because I'm having so much fun with you all, or because the story is particularly enticing, but I feel like I could almost keep going.
Here, here. Ooh.
Yeah, that won't work for me either. Lynette will give me an earful if I get home.
I understand how you feel, Navia, but we have to change venues for the next part of the story anyway.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. There's a special note for the GM at the end of this section that says to proceed to an indoor set for the next part of the script.
Whoa! They really pulled out all the stops for this new script.
Well, even if we end the game for the day, we can still stay a little longer and hear Clorinde finish her story, right? Paimon wants to hear more about the history of the hunters.
Something tells me you just want to finish the free...
That's just a coincidence, okay? Besides, to Paimon, not finishing free food feels even worse than having to buy her own. And anyway, Paimon really does want to hear more about Clorinde's master.
Well...
It's nothing. I appreciate the concern, but it's... My earliest memories are of living with Master. According to her, she saved me from certain people of ill repute. My birth parents had left me behind some time before that.
What a heavy beginning for a life.
Master was a fascinating individual. My first ever toy was a short sword. Although I suppose it wasn't so much a toy as something Master removed from her waist and handed to a noisy child in need of distraction.
Oh wait, so she handed an actual sword to a child?
Of course I did. I cut my palm and bled quite a lot. But Master was not concerned. She just, "See, that's what you get for not holding the sword properly," she told me. She then crouched down next to me and said, "Give me your hand. I'll teach you to bandage this wound. After that, it's time to learn how to
Excuse me for asking this, Clorinde, but how old?
Probably around,
3? Isn't that when most kids are still struggling to hold a...
As I said, Master was rather inexperienced in the ways of raising children. She believed trial and error was the best way to teach a child what they're capable of.
I'm not so sure this is a question of experience.
I didn't see anything wrong with her ways at the time. And anyway, children don't get to choose how they're raised. Oh, she did bring me back a pet from Liyue once. It was a Geovishap hatchling.
A Geovishap hatchling? For a pet? That seems even more
What she said was this: make sure to get along, you two. If you really can't agree on something, just settle it with a fight. Whoever loses is the real pet.
And how old were you when this happened?
5.
Well, did you win?
No, I lost.
So you're saying you actually became the Geovishap's pet?
Yes, but only for a week. By the end of that week, I defeated it in combat.
That really doesn't sound like the kind of childhood someone should have.
Later on, I gradually understood that Master most likely didn't know any other way to raise a child. She was a Marechaussee hunter, but I never heard her bring up her own parents. Thanks to her, I learned how to navigate the forest by the age of 6, and could hunt monsters in the wild by myself the year after that. Even though the training she subjected me to was strict, she always made sure to take me traveling when she had the time. We met many of her friends during those days. That was also how I met Mr. Callis and his family.
I still remember the first time we met. You were too scared to join our picnic and hid behind...
I still hadn't really met many children my age at that time, so I didn't know.
After that, though, you started coming over a lot. You loved challenging people to shooting competitions, remember? I don't think many members of the Spina ever beat you in one of them.
I had a lot of fun during those days.
I enjoyed them too. Oh, do you remember that one time we went exploring around the Spina together? We overheard Papa call your master. We tried to pretend like we never heard anything, but you nearly let it slip that one time.
Protector of Justice. Oh, wait, you mean that vigilante hero from 20 years ago? The one who is always active at night?
Yep, that would be her. She often would put on a black cloak and go out at night. I never knew where she went or what she was doing. Until, like Navia said...
20 years ago, huh? I still remember the guards leaving all kinds of witness reports about her on Nervalet. Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had nothing to do with it. And anyway, everything... Although, calling herself the Protector of Order was a bit much. Especially when she deliberately operated outside the law.
Huh? When did the Protector of Justice become the Protector of Order?
Oh, she had a bunch of code names. I heard she would just come up with a name on the spot whenever she was asked. Later on, she probably got sick of answering those questions and decided to stick to just two. The Protector of Justice and the Protector of Order.
That sounds like her, all right. I bet she forgot which of the two she'd use by the time she got back each night.
Well, she certainly sounds like a fascinating individual. With her strong sense of justice,
It's true. I always wanted to become like her. Someone powerful, independent.
But...
She suddenly disappeared the night I turned 10 years old.
Disappeared? What happened?
I have no idea. She didn't even leave a note. That night, I was celebrating my birthday at Navia's house. But Master never came to pick me up. When I returned home on my own, it was to an empty house. When she still didn't appear after a few days, I went to Mr. Callus's house to ask about her whereabouts. But he only
Papa probably didn't know either. I know he sent a few people to investigate the matter in secret, but they never found any credible lead.
Don't worry, I understand. To be perfectly honest, given Master's personality and way of doing things, it all made a lot of sense. If I had to guess, I'd say she just like how, when a litter of kittens reaches a certain age, the mother willingly leaves them behind.
Were you...
I was at first, but not anymore. I don't believe Master would suddenly disappear for no reason. There must have been something she just had to do.
Despite everything, you still managed to follow in her footsteps and become the greatest champion duelist in all of Fontaine. You're practically a living symbol of law and justice.
I suspect my position would be far too by the books for her. Master always did whatever she pleased. But you're right. I suppose I do take after her in some ways.
Who knew Clorinde had such an interesting past? I never had the chance to ask, and I wonder if Clorinde's master were the champion duelist back then. Would that duel again? Oh no. Judging by the atmosphere, Clorinde and Navi are probably thinking something similar. The mood just got super awkward all of a sudden.
Well, anyway. Would you look at the time? It's getting dark, so we should probably call it a day for real this time. If we keep talking like this, we really will be here all night.
I had a great time today, Miss Clorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood story... Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime. Maybe your master was onto something.
You could be right.
What does she mean, on to something? I certainly don't know any 5-year-olds who want to fight a bishop in their spare time. Guess I'll head back as well. I need to save my energy if I want to continue enjoying the story.
You're that excited to hear about my fight with the bishop?
I was talking about the script.
Just between the two of us, could you tell me what it was like to be the Geo-Bishop?
It was nothing special, really. Geo-Bishops don't understand the concept of a pet. So, basically, it just headbutt.
And that...
Yeah, it hurt. What, something you want to experience for yourself?
Oh, I...
Let's go meet up with the group! Paimon's really looking forward to today's story.
Add Astra.
What they say is true. You have to see the world for yourself to appreciate how beautiful it is. Something on your mind again? Let's work through it together. 2 heads are better than 1. Everyone hold hands!
Our bond is strong!
Looks like everyone's here. Now, before we begin, why don't we finish where we left off yesterday? There was an important decision to be made.
Is that really the most important part, though, Clorinde? Paimon's more concerned about our current heavy walls, cold railings, dim lights, This is obviously supposed to...
I admire the work put into the set. Still, it's obvious the scriptwriter has never paid a visit to the...
So the set is going to be...
Unfortunately, that is something I can neither confirm nor deny.
Anyone think Clorinde's smile is starting to look kinda...
Well, whatever happens, we'll just have to push on. But first, we should really figure out what to do with this treasure. If we're worried about arousing suspicion because of our identity, why don't we give ourselves a different name?
Yeah, it might be better to keep a low profile. As long as we're helping people.
Staring at me won't get you anywhere. Or did...
Paimon's good. Thanks. Why aren't you saying anything, Navia? Wait, what's that?
Oh, this is the short sword Clorinde mentioned last night. I found it.
Huh. I'm surprised you managed to track it down after all this time.
Well, I made sure to take good care of it, considering the circumstances in which you gave it to me. Anyway, where were we? Oh, right. I was just thinking about all the potential ways for us to break out of prison. We could dig a tunnel, or try to bribe the guards.
Wait, we haven't been thrown into prison yet.
Well, it's only a matter of time. It pays to be prepared. Just like how you should always have an umbrella on hand, even when it's sunny.
Alright, Paimon's made up her mind. Let's just give the treasure. Paimon may have wanted to keep it, but if it's going to land us in prison somehow, Paimon will be too upset to enjoy her snacks.
So, you've reached an agreement? All right then, we can continue with the story.
Oh, and we'll collect all the scattered pieces of treasure on the ground as well.
All right. You collect the treasure and make your way back to the capital with your bag of loot in hand. The city is still shrouded in a gloomy, oppressive atmosphere, but your spirits are surprisingly high. In places where sunlight struggles to reach, you generously share your wealth with the children, the elderly, and the poor in urgent need of help.
Thank you,
The elderly woman's look of gratitude follows you as you walk away, her eyes never leaving your back until you move entirely out of sight.
She's probably trying to tell us to speed this up. We need to hurry up so we can address the sorcerer problem.
Should we go find that man again at the square? He seemed like a pretty responsible guy. I'm sure he knows the people here far better than us.
Oh, good idea.
Just as you start to make way to the square, intent on finding the man again, there's a voice. Please wait, distinguished guests. Several strange guards suddenly call out to you. They run forward to meet you.
Greetings, gentlemen. Are we being invited for...
Surely you jest, my lady. That would not be our place. It is His Excellency the King who requests to meet with you. Please come with...
Do you think this could be a...
Well, we have to investigate the court at some point, right? Meeting the king himself would be a fantastic opportunity to do that.
I say we go for it. If something happens, we'll just turn the whole place upside down.
That sounds a little intense.
After a quick discussion, you nod to the guards and agree to follow. They lead you all the way to the audience hall of the palace. Gilded tables line both sides of the hall. The space itself is adorned with all manner of expensive antiques, glass shelves, and silver candlesticks. The items appear quite ordinary in size and dimension. Yet
Wow.
the elderly king, clad in a magnificent robe, sits upon the deep crimson. He wears above his head a majestic crown, with a gemstone the size of a bird's egg set right at the very front. As you observe it, "They're here, Your Majesty." A man dressed in dark clothes, likely a minister, shields his mouth with his hands and bends down to whisper a few words to the king. After a moment, he lowers his hands and stands back up. His gaze shifts to
The king does not appear entirely aware of his surroundings. The man by his side, though.
The king remains still and says nothing. Esteemed guests, allow me to thank you for coming to our faraway kingdom. Unfortunately, His Majesty the King finds himself quite exhausted. I've heard tell that your group, the Marechaussee Hunters, used your exceptional ability with... However, seeing that I was not fortunate enough to observe such a feat with my own eyes, you'll forgive me.
Well, we've got nothing to hide. You brought us here to talk, right? So we'll just explain what happened. The golem's blades were so powerful, they could cut down trees in a single swipe. It took a lot of effort to defeat them, even for... Well, there was enough details, right?
Your account does indeed match those of the survivors. Since you were the ones who defeated the monsters, that must mean...
Well, we did take the...
How did he know about the treasure?
Then I must ask that you return it at once.
Wait, but didn't you just say that our great deed deserved a reward? Shouldn't the treasure be considered a part of that?
Yes, that was indeed what I said. Only that which is freely given by the king can be considered a reward. Taking the rightful wealth of a kingdom without said permission on...
But that's completely unreasonable.
Yeah, that makes no sense! If it weren't for us, the treasure would still be buried in...
Maybe so, yet the fact remains. You tried to dispose of the treasure without reporting it to the court and without receiving permission, yes? What, no answer? Surely you're not insinuating that you, a group of legendary marechaussee hunters...
Well, what about the king? Is he just gonna let this guy talk?
Clad in his magnificent robe, the king remains seated, with his hands resting on either side of the throne. His posture is rigid and unmoving. He stares forward with an empty look in his eyes, completely unmoved.
From the look of things, could the Prime Minister be the evil sorcerer? Or could...
I would like to observe the number of guards stationed in the hall.
The guards in the palace appear fully armed, their expressions solemn. Sensing the tense atmosphere in the room, they stand at the ready, each with a hand placed upon the hilt of their sword, as if prepared.
Well, there goes my plan to turn the whole place upside down, I guess.
It appears we've been visited by nothing more than a group of ill-intentioned imposters. What a pity. Guard! Before I decide your fate, however, I must first determine whether you have any
Can't we try to slip away? Or maybe start some kind of riot?
But if we try to fight the guards right now...
Don't worry. At least we figured out who's behind all this. Let's just play it by ear. If you're scared, Paimon, just hold my hand.
Thanks.
You allow yourself to be led away by guards surrounding. It's only when you begin to feel drops of water falling from the dungeon ceiling and smell the stench of death and decay all around you that you finally realize. Stay here! The guards lock the cell door and leave without looking back.
Wait, sir!
Your voice echoes through the dark hall, but the only response you receive...
No!
Carve out a new path of fate with our own two hands, of course. I draw my weapon.
You reach toward your waist, but find nothing there. You now recall that your weapons were confiscated before the guards locked you in the cell.
What about that knife I hid in my boot?
When did you hide it in there?
When I was thinking about digging a tunnel.
Rejected. You failed to inform the GM of this course of action. Moreover, the guards would have conducted a thorough search.
And the keys to the cell aren't anywhere to be seen?
Correct. You don't even feel a lock hole on the cell door.
Oh, well, there goes all our...
Indeed.
Huh? Why are you the one saying indeed?
Because that statement holds true for me as well. This is where the script ends.
What? But that's a terrible ending!
Generally speaking, this should be the point where the scriptwriter gives the players some kind of hint. Or gives the GM...
I mean, maybe they just really wanted us to be immersed in the feeling of being in prison? Like, they'll only show us the way out once we've...
That is a possibility.
If only there were desserts and tea in real prison. Oh, wait, guess that's kind of how the Fortress of Meripede works if you're lucky.
Oh, before I forget. Navia, the short sword you had with you, I took a closer look, and the craftsmanship doesn't appear to resemble anything from this era. If I remember correctly, that style...
Wait, Clorinde said that sword used to belong to her master, right? Does that mean...
I doubt it. The way she went about things often made her seem childish more than anything. I'd say the sword was most likely an heirloom passed down over time.
Hang on. A precious heirloom passed down to you by your master. And you gave it to me just...
Master left many things to me when she disappeared. There was the sword, an old key, and a good amount of junk she probably just didn't want to take with her. I gave you the sword back then, because I didn't...
Wait, when did this happen exactly?
After the duel. Between Mr. Callis and myself.
Before that, Clorinde would have meals with us and even stay over at the Spina some days. She was on after the duel, though. There was a period of time where we were both sad and conflicted. And totally overthinking Whenever I looked at this sword, I couldn't help but wonder. If Miss Petronia had never introduced us to each other at that picnic, maybe back then, it felt like I hadn't just lost a father, but a close friend.
No one can change the past. The most important thing is that you two found your way back to each other and can enjoy things like this.
Yep, you're right.
I'm sorry, you two. I didn't mean...
Think nothing of it. No one...
Looks like the next part of our script is here.
Perfect timing. The situation was really starting to get tense.
From Clorinde's face, Paimon really can't tell if it's good news or bad news.
Water continues to drip from the ceiling. In this lightless dungeon, you lack a reliable way to tell how much time has passed. Eventually, you get used to the unpleasant odor of straw, mold, and rust, and find yourselves alternating between fits of drowsiness and despair. Suddenly, you hear footsteps outside the door.
Heads up, everyone. Someone's coming.
Gather close, everyone, and keep your voice down.
What they say is true. You have to see the world for yourself to appreciate how beautiful it is.
Wait. Huh? Wait. Huh? No.
Stabilize!
This way, Turtle!
Time to shine! Strike a pose! Dissipate!
Grow! Share my knowledge!
Solidify!
Turtle again.
Stabilize! I will have order!
Grow!
Let the world collide! I'll settle this. Our bond is strong.
Committed to memory. The Temple of Wisdom.
Gather!
Laid bare.
Give me some space.